The year is September 6th. Well, the day is September 6th, 2006. And for some reason, that day sticks in your craw. Why is that, Jonathan?
That was definitely the worst day in my professional career. We had been gliding by with all sorts of press and accolades and huge business for 3 years. We were always on the best of lists and things like that. And had gotten probably a little complacent, maybe a little bit cocky with what we were doing. And then all of a sudden, the New York Times food section had this enormous article on coffee in New York. 3 pages, 20 pictures, and we were not in this article at all.
And the reporter had called you, right?
The reporter had planned to put us in the article and had done some research, and I called him to sort of find out why, because this was sort of new to us to not be one of those coffee bars that were mentioned as the best of. I called him, and basically he said, you know, I think you guys have a lot of potential, but I've been in 6 or 8 times, and your product has been wildly inconsistent, and I've been disappointed, and I can't really wholeheartedly recommend it to New Yorkers to get their first great coffee.
Oh, my goodness. If that's not a slap, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it was pretty upsetting. It was pretty jarring, but looking back now, we realized it was probably the best thing that could have happened to us, because it really made us stop and sort of say, how can we be the best? Have we lost our way? Have we lost our vision? And what can we do to make sure that never happens again?
How did you respond? What was the first thing you did?
The first thing we did is we really took a look at what we were doing, what our training program was, how hard we were pushing our staff, and sort of stepped outside and said, you know what, I think he's right. It's time for us to work harder and not to just get by because we've been a critic's darling for a couple years. The world was changing, New York coffee was changing, and we had to sort of find a way to both ride the wave and to sort of define the wave. And yeah.
So did you try to get more different types of talent? Did you try new equipment? What did you...
We sort of did everything. I mean, really we went back to the basics and said, how can we retrain our staff? How can we hold them accountable to make sure that what they're doing is the very best that can happen in the industry? We looked at perhaps changing our beans. We changed some equipment things, but really it was sort of what was going into our training and how much time and money were we devoting to make sure that every single cup of coffee that we were producing was the very best that it could be. And that took sort of months of backtracking, reworking things, a lot more of a critical eye on what we were doing in terms of that sort of culinary experience.
What did you do in terms of advice? I mean, was this something that you guys determined internally, or did you start seeking other outside advice aside from the feedback?
Yeah, I think it was both. I think we had found that for a long time we were living in a bubble, and it was sort of us even saying to other people who we really respected, hey guys, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong? What do you see that we can change to make ourselves better? And we listened to that. Instead of being defensive, we sort of said, let's use this to our benefit and and really come further and work harder at it.
And here's the thing about coffee. I mean, a lot of you out there in La La Land, in computer land, you drink coffee, you probably slug it, but you may not realize that there are about 140 factors that go into a good cup of coffee, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a really complex food product, and the preparation of it, especially when you're talking about espresso beverages, is very difficult. It takes, for us, 3 to 4 months to train a barista to sort of be able to serve drinks up to our standards. And we had to sort of shake it up and do that again. Yeah, it is amazing.
And so was that training that you instituted after you had this big wake-up call?
We'll talk about that after.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Jumping the gun.
Yes, you are. So let me just recap the lessons here. If you want to wake up and smell the coffee, so to speak, you really have to be humble. You have to not sit on your laurels. You have to ask people with humility, what am I doing wrong? What can I be doing better? And you have to recognize that you always have to be trying and striving to achieve excellence. It doesn't just, you don't just get to a point and then relax.
So true.
And so I think that's the lesson here.